The key emotional skills of Jesus. According to the Bible, Jesus Christ is the ultimate example of emotional intelligence. Throughout his life, he displayed mastery over his emotions, demonstrated incredible resilience, and showed a profound ability to understand and connect with others. These emotional skills are not only essential for our personal development, but also serve as a guide for how we should live and interact with others. In this video, we will explore 7 of the key emotional skills that Jesus exemplified according to the Bible. By learning from his example, we can cultivate emotional intelligence that helps us navigate life's challenges and build deeper relationships with others. While many people focus on the miracles, teachings, and spiritual wisdom of Jesus, it's equally important to recognize his emotional intelligence. Jesus faced intense pressure, temptation, and betrayal, yet he maintained perfect emotional balance, compassion, and empathy. These emotional skills are timeless and practical, and by adopting them in our lives, we can improve our relationships, decision-making, and ability to handle stress. Let's dive into each of these emotional skills, seeing how Jesus demonstrated them and how we can apply them in our daily lives. 2. Self-motivation. Matthew 14:23. The second emotional skill Jesus demonstrated was self-motivation. Jesus did not depend on external validation or encouragement to continue his mission. One of the most profound examples of his self-motivation is found in Matthew 14:23, where after performing miracles and ministering to large crowds, Jesus withdrew to a mountain by himself to pray. This moment of solitude shows us that Jesus knew how to refuel his spirit and stay focused on his mission without relying on the praise or approval of others. Self-motivation is a critical emotional skill because it allows us to move forward even when we don't receive recognition or support from those around us. Jesus often faced opposition, rejection, and misunderstanding, yet he never allowed that to stop him from doing what he was called to do. His motivation came from his relationship with the Father and his commitment to fulfilling God's will. He regularly withdrew to pray, seeking strength and clarity directly from God. In our lives, we often look to others for validation or motivation, but Jesus teaches us the importance of self-motivation. We don't need the constant approval of others to continue on our path. Instead, we can learn to motivate ourselves by staying connected to God through prayer, reflection, and solitude. This internal motivation keeps us moving forward even when we face challenges or when no one else seems to understand our journey. The lesson here is clear. Don't wait for others to push you forward. Find strength and motivation in your relationship with God. Take time to refuel spiritually and emotionally, just as Jesus did. Ask yourself, what practices can I adopt in my daily life that will help me stay motivated and focused on my purpose, even when external encouragement is lacking? 3. Mastery over negative emotions. Luke 22:44. The third emotional skill Jesus displayed was his ability to master negative emotions such as fear, anxiety, and anger. One of the most intense moments of emotional struggle for Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, just before his crucifixion. In Luke 22:44, it says, "And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground." Jesus faced overwhelming fear and anxiety about what was to come, yet he didn't allow these emotions to control him. Instead of giving in to fear, Jesus prayed fervently, surrendering his emotions to God and finding strength to carry out his mission. This is a powerful example for us. Negative emotions like fear, anxiety, and anger are natural, but Jesus shows us that we don't have to let them rule our actions. By bringing our fears to God in prayer, we can find peace and the strength to move forward. When we face overwhelming emotions, it's easy to react impulsively or allow those feelings to dictate our behavior. But Jesus teaches us the importance of emotional mastery. He didn't deny or suppress his emotions, but he brought them to God, seeking divine strength to overcome them. In moments of fear or anxiety, we too can turn to God in prayer, trusting that He will give us the peace and clarity we need to face our challenges. Ask yourself, how do I handle negative emotions like fear or anger? Do I allow them to control me, or do I bring them to God in prayer? Jesus' example shows us that emotional mastery is not about suppressing feelings, but about allowing God to help us process them and act with wisdom and courage. Practice forgiveness, Matthew 26:75, John 21:15-17. The fourth emotional skill that Jesus consistently practiced was forgiveness. One of the clearest examples of Jesus' capacity to forgive is seen in his relationship with Peter. After Peter denied Jesus 3 times, Matthew 26:75, he was overcome with guilt and shame. Yet, after his resurrection, Jesus sought Peter out, forgave him, and restored him, even entrusting him with the mission to feed his sheep, John 21:15-17. Forgiveness is an essential emotional skill because it frees us from the burden of resentment and bitterness. Jesus demonstrated not only his ability to forgive, but also the importance of forgiving others as part of healing and restoration. He didn't hold Peter's failure against him, but gave him a second chance to fulfill his purpose. This act of forgiveness is a powerful example for us, showing that no matter how badly someone has hurt us, we are called to forgive just as Jesus forgave. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or ignoring the hurt that was caused. It means choosing to release the desire for revenge or retribution, and instead offering grace and reconciliation. Jesus teaches us that forgiving others not only heals relationships, but also frees us emotionally and spiritually. Holding on to unforgiveness only weighs us down and prevents us from moving forward. Reflect on your own life. Is there someone you need to forgive? Or perhaps you need to seek forgiveness from someone you've hurt. Follow Jesus' example and take steps toward forgiveness. By doing so, you'll experience emotional freedom and the restoration of relationships. 5. Engage with all types of people without compromising values. Matthew 9:9. The fifth emotional skill Jesus mastered was his ability to engage with all types of people without compromising his principles or values. In Matthew 9:9, we see Jesus calling Matthew, a tax collector, to follow him. Tax collectors were despised by the Jewish people because they were seen as traitors who collaborated with the Roman authorities. Yet Jesus not only called Matthew to be his disciple, but also dined with other tax collectors and sinners, much to the dismay of the religious leaders. Jesus had an incredible ability to connect with people from all walks of life, those who were marginalized, sinful, or outcast, without ever compromising his own values. He was firm in his identity and mission, and while he loved and accepted everyone, he never wavered in his principles. This is an important emotional skill for us to develop, especially in today's world, where we interact with people who may have different values or lifestyles. Engaging with others in a loving, non-judgmental way while staying true to your beliefs is a skill that requires emotional intelligence. It means being open, empathetic, and compassionate, but also having the strength to stand firm in your convictions. Jesus exemplified this balance perfectly. He was a friend to sinners, but never allowed their actions to influence his own. In your relationships, ask yourself, how can I show love and empathy to those who are different from me without compromising my own values? By following Jesus' example, you can build meaningful connections with others while maintaining your integrity. 6. Emotional self-regulation. Matthew 26:57. The sixth emotional skill that Jesus demonstrated was self-regulation, particularly in controlling his impulses. In Matthew 26:57, when Jesus was falsely accused and unjustly brought before the Sanhedrin, he remained calm and composed. Instead of lashing out in anger or frustration, Jesus controlled his emotions, even though he had every right to defend himself aggressively. Emotional self-regulation is the ability to control your reactions, especially in difficult or unfair situations. Jesus' calm demeanor in the face of false accusations is a powerful example of emotional maturity. He didn't allow his emotions to dictate his actions. Instead, he remained focused on the bigger picture, God's plan for his life and his ultimate mission. Many people struggle with impulse control, especially when emotions like anger, frustration, or fear are triggered. Jesus teaches us that true strength lies in being able to control our impulses, even when we are provoked. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions, but rather learning to manage them in a way that aligns with our values and goals. Ask yourself, how do I respond when I'm unfairly treated or provoked? Do I react impulsively, or do I exercise emotional self-regulation like Jesus? By practicing this skill, you can maintain your peace and integrity in difficult situations. 7. Practice empathy and authenticity. Luke 7:11. The seventh and final emotional skill that Jesus exemplified is empathy. Jesus consistently showed empathy toward those who were hurting, marginalized, or in need. One touching example is found in Luke 7:11-15, when Jesus encountered a widow who had just lost her only son. Moved by compassion, Jesus raised the young man from the dead and restored him to his mother. This act of empathy was not just a display of power, but a deep expression of understanding and care for the woman's suffering. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Jesus was not detached from people's pain. He felt it deeply and responded with compassion and action. Throughout his ministry, Jesus consistently showed that emotional intelligence is rooted in genuine care for others. He wasn't just performing miracles. He was connecting with people on a deep emotional level, offering them love, healing, and hope. In our own lives, empathy is crucial for building strong relationships and making a positive impact on others. It allows us to connect with people in meaningful ways and offer them support in their times of need. But empathy must be genuine. Jesus teaches us that true empathy isn't about pretending to care. It's about authentically entering into someone's experience and offering help with sincerity. Reflect on your interactions with others. Are you practicing empathy in a way that is genuine and authentic? How can you follow Jesus' example by showing compassion to those who are hurting? By practicing empathy, you'll not only help others, but also enrich your own emotional intelligence and ability to connect. Conclusion: growing in emotional intelligence by following Jesus' example. In conclusion, Jesus demonstrated remarkable emotional intelligence throughout his life, from maintaining calm under stress to showing empathy and forgiveness. These emotional skills are not only essential for our own personal growth, but also for how we interact with others. By following Jesus' example, we can learn to manage our emotions, stay motivated, forgive those who hurt us, and connect with people in meaningful ways. Emotional intelligence, as modeled by Jesus, is about more than just managing emotions. It's about living in a way that reflects God's love and wisdom in all aspects of life. As we develop these skills, we become more like Christ, capable of handling life's challenges with grace, strength, and compassion.